Hello and welcome our dear viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. Telephone conversation between President Gelle and President Macron. And on the international scene, UN chief denounces climate carnage in Pakistan. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received this afternoon, Saturday, September 10th, a phone call from his counterpart, the President of the French Republic, His Excellency Mr. Emmanuel Macron. During this conversation, the two heads of state reviewed the current political situation in the sub-region and the major challenge facing the drought and famine in the Horn of Africa. At the bilateral level, the two heads of state discussed the progress of cooperation projects and strategic investment initiated during the President's official visit to Paris in February 2021, which demonstrate the desire of both countries to further strengthen the age-old relations between our two nations. Cooperation in the field of defense was also on the agenda in anticipation of the upcoming visits of the Ministry of Armed Forces of the French Republic scheduled for April 15. Finally, the two presidents welcomed the excellence of these historic ties and reaffirmed the strategic nature of this relationship between the two allied countries. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, has signed a register of condolence in tribute to Queen Elizabeth II, who died Thursday, September 8 in her castle in Balmoral, Scotland. The register of condolence is opened at the Jibouti Palace Kempiski to express sympathy to the ruling family and the British people. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, also expressed his deepest condolence to the new Prime Minister Liz Truss and the British government. Queen Elizabeth II represented the solidarity, the confidence in the institutions of her country and in the world through the Commonwealth. Her work will remain historic, and as such, the PM, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil, presents to His Majesty Charles III for his accession to the throne and wishes him a reign as successful as his late mother. The Ministry of Women and Family, in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade, COMSA, and the Institute of Statistics of Djibouti, organized this morning in National Capacity Building a workshop on statistics in the framework of regional integration at the Casillas Hotel. This workshop was chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women, Mrs. Anissa Hassan Bahdon, and was attended by the Director of Foreign Trade, Mr. Hassan Aden, the Director of Social and Demographic Statistics, Mr. Omar Musa, Aerotrace Expert, Statistical Unit of COMSA, the Director of Gender Observation, Gender Focal Points, and representatives of the stakeholders. This workshop is part of the capacity building framework on gender statistics for its continued support to the promotion and empowerment of women and girls. The National Order of Medical Professions of Djibouti, which is also known in short as ONPMD, organized Wednesday in collaboration with the Health Service of the FFDJ, the Day of Training Franco-Djiboutian Multidisciplinary Training of Interns or doctoral students on the management of damage control on the health situation of exception. The objective of this training consists of the management of trauma-logical emergencies in the field of war and developed by the health services of the armed forces. For a number of years, this philosophy of damage control has tended to be democratized and appealed in a civilian medicine, both in pre-hospital and hospital settings for the management of trauma, logical emergencies that may occur in exceptional health situations, large fires, floods, and road accidents, or any other situations with massive influx of patients. Thus, this training, including theoretical aspects where the different steps and aspects of damage control were reviewed from length to breadth, covering topics such as the management of geographic shock, child trauma, or psychological care, and practical workshops in fast etho, and on the technical aspects of triage and management of a massive flow. The ultimate goal is to allow these practitioners who provide care at the level of emergency services of various public, parapublic, and military structures of the country to respond effectively to trauma emergencies if such situations arise. Continuing medical education is at the heart of the concerns of the ONPMD for quality health and topically to serve our patients. The local members of the Council of Balbala met this morning for the holding of a working session and organization of the third quarter 2022 in the large meeting room. A working meeting between the local councils chaired by the President of the Municipality of Balbala as part of the improvement of various sectoral issues related to the daily life of the Djibouti citizen in general, and more particularly those of Balbala. The President of the Commune then pleaded for the adoption of a proactive approach, collaboration, teamwork, agreed all actors of the public and technical services with obviously the support of local authorities as the example of the sub-prefecture's 5th and 4th districts, who spare no effort to facilitate the actions carried out in order to revisualize and restore the image of the commune of Balbala. He asked the local conscience to work to bring together the necessary conditions by mobilizing material and human resources to deal with instabilities, the fight against the proliferation of public insecurity, drugs, and juvenile delinquency. Participated in this meeting in addition to the President of the Municipality of Balbala, the Secretary General of the Municipality, the Vice President of the Municipality of Balbala, as well as the municipal councillors, members of Council of Balbala. The Ethiopian community residing in Djibouti celebrated last night the Day of Unity, an evening that was celebrated with a lot of joy with songs but also speeches and other various activities. The main objective of the Unity Night event was to bring together Ethiopian nationals but also friends of Ethiopia to celebrate the great multifaceted achievements recorded during the former Ethiopian year of 2014 and to gather the possible challenges of the next year, the year 2015, in order to improve the progress and prosperity of the country. This September 10th, every year Ethiopians gathered to celebrate the new year as well as the National Unity Day, an evening where the Ethiopian community expressed their faith in love, forgiveness, unity, and harmony, which they consider as the defining laws and values of their nation. In his speech, the Ethiopian ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Berhanu Tsegit, stressed that in recent years, although there have been many attempts to unite peace and prosperity of Ethiopia in different directions, our country has been able to withstand this challenge and achieve unprecedented victories in many areas. He added that among these victories this year were the strong unity and massive participation of the people, in which the second turbine of the Great Ethiopian Resilience Dam started to generate electricity successfully, and the third filling of the dam with water was successfully completed. Further, he recalled that the Resilience Dam, being a great national project which was built without any foreign aid or loan and has strengthened the unity of our country, shows today that there is nothing that cannot be achieved when citizens work with one heart, the ambassador concluded. As part of the first preliminary round of the CAF Champions League, Al-Hajj Hassan Ougulet Stadium hosted this afternoon a match between Arta Solar 7 against the Sudanese club Al Mirrikh. The match was full of energy, with Arta Solar winning the first half by 1-0, but in the second half, Al Mirrikh turned the table by scoring 2 goals and ending the match with a win. The team of Arta Solar is among the clubs that have obtained a license for the season to participate in the African Champions League and the Confederation Cup Total Energies of 2022-2023. As part of the first preliminary round of the CAF Champions League, Al-Hajj Hassan Ougulet Stadium hosted yesterday afternoon also a match against the team of Djibouti Telecom in the team Kigali. This match was marked by the presence of the Secretary of State in charge of sports, the Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Mohamed Warsama, the tourists of the region of Ali Sibih, the officials of the Djibouti Football Federation, senior officials of the administration of Djibouti Telecom, the supporters of the teams. The match ended in a draw for both teams. Let us recall that the team of Djibouti Telecom is among the clubs that have obtained the license for the season to participate in the African Champions League and the Confederation Cup Total Energies of 2022-2023. Let us all follow the footages. In a move aimed at reviving the traditional folk heritage of our country, the State Secretariat in charge of sports initiated traditional and folk games competitions throughout the country. In this regard, we have prepared a report for you that highlights this initiative. a first of its kind. Let's watch.
A traditional game is a leisure activity, generally with a sporting vocation which has not undergone the process of being transformed into a modern sport. The boundaries between games and sports are sometimes unclear. However, traditional board games are an age-old pastime that is particularly popular among nomadic societies in the Horn of Africa. Yet, under the double effect of urbanization and globalization, their practice and transmission are now threatened. In order to diversify its activities and revive those forgotten, including traditional sports or board games, the Secretary of State for Sports has launched this summer in a vast operation ranging from the organization of competitions, collection, and classification of data for the promotion and preservation of these traditional games. It is thus on July 15th that the fourth edition of the traditional board games was officially launched in the capital and the regions of the interior as well as the most remote localities. Afars and Somalis are neighbors and share many similarities and cultural ties. This is the case for the traditional games of which the Gokso is a prime example. This game takes place in three ways or has three major distinction components defined to Ferreita and Redoita. It was necessary. Placed under the high patronage of the Secretary of State in charge of sports, these events are intended to contribute to the promotion and generalization of the practice of sport for the benefit of different age groups in all social categories. The activities took place in good conditions thanks to the combined efforts of all stakeholders, in this case the officials of the State Secretariat for Sports and the authorities as well as local sports actors. The director of the region, Mr. Yusuf Abdallah, said that these games will be organized every year by the ministry to avoid that they fall into oblivion, but that they are rather perpetuated to maintain social cohesion. After a month of competitions, the curtains fell on Friday, September 2nd in Djibouti on the esplanade of the town hall. The fourth edition of the traditional board games, which will have gathered the best players of the country, drew its curtain in great splendor. What a show, what emotion, what a merit for these engaged people who are the most part amateur players. Through these events, the Secretary of State in charge of sports intends to promote and especially professionalize traditional games. The trainings allowing young people to learn the rules, the origins, and the functions of these sports will also be integrated in the national sport policy. The organizer assured and signed it. The traditional society games will return next year. If the fourth edition was a success, the second one will certainly be an achievement.
In the continuity of their joint actions in the fight against human trafficking, during the day of September 10th, a joint cooperation of the Djiboutian Coast Guard and the National Navy teams intercepted a Yemeni Galba-type boat carrying illegal migrants which was heading to Yemen. The boat, which was intercepted between Godera and Ras Bir, was carrying 196 Ethiopian migrants, including 29 women and 167 men. 4 smugglers, 3 Yemeni and 1 Ethiopian, were arrested in this operation and will be brought to justice to answer for their actions, while the boat was seized pending a court decision. This operation testifies to the excellent cooperation and collaboration between the Djiboutian Coast Guard and the National Navy, which jointly ensured to do everything possible to secure the Djiboutian maritime domain. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the Royal Palace in Britain announced that the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II will take place on the 19th of this September. Let's follow.
Since earlier June, Pakistan has been the victim of water flood from the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of the Himalayan foothills to the arid region of the Balochistan and center in the south. Riverbanks have burst and destroyed houses, roads, and bridges. Thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Saturday while touring flooded areas of southern Pakistan that he had never seen a climate massacre on this scale, blaming rich countries. Let's follow.
The funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, who died Tuesday in Scotland, will take place on Monday, 19 September in London. Buckingham Palace announced on Saturday. Leaders from around the world are accepted for the funeral, which will take place at Westminster. Leaders from around the world are accepted for the funeral, which will take place at the Westminster Abbey at 11 a.m. local time. King Charles III, who is succeeding her, declared a public holiday in the UK for the occasion. The confirmed of Elizabeth II is currently in the platform of Balmoral Castle, Scotland, and will then be transferred to the place of Holyrood House on Street Chill Cathedral in the Park before being sent to London on Tuesday.
That is our beloved viewers. We conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.